joking.
Meriel's dying. Welcome everyone to Broken Spoken episode 3. Meriel's coughing herself to death. My name's Alexander and I'm here with
Meriel, who's dying apparently.
Dying apparently. You had COVID last week.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I had 3 tests.
No, you had the new strain that no one knows about.
He's convinced I had COVID. I had a sinus infection.
It was Epsilon strain. 3 people died in the process.
No, I had a sinus infection from allergies and I was on medication for it. But
yeah, I couldn't function though.
I couldn't. I was so sick. I was in bed for like a week. But I did have 3 COVID tests and it wasn't COVID.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm
You
pretty
did the
sure.
rapid or the PCR?
I did 2 rapids and then one like...
Is that the same thing?
And then one through the doctor.
Is a PCR and a rapid the same thing?
No, rapid's a antigen test. We call them lateral flow in the UK.
Lateral flow.
Lateral flow. No, I did the full on, I did multiple tests through the doctor.
That sounds like dysentery. It sounds like a British way of being polite, saying you have dysentery.
Yeah, you have lateral
flow. Excuse me, sir,
flow.
you have lateral flow.
We used to call it, when you're diarrhea, we used to call it the squits.
The squits game.
The squits.
Squits game.
Because that's kind of what it is, right?
I mean, it is like a squirt. I don't know what squits is.
Because it's not really a squirt, it's the squits.
What's the difference?
It's like when you have that really bad upset stomach.
Right, and it just like shoots out like a jet.
Kind of, yeah, it's the squits.
It's the fucking worst. When was the last time you shit your pants?
I've never shit my pants. And I have IBS.
Awkward.
So it's kind of crazy that I haven't shit my pants, to be honest.
I would say 3 years ago, I think I shit my pants.
What were you doing?
Honestly, there's no good story behind this other than...
You were just walking down the street and you shit your pants?
Okay, come on. You know, sometimes you eat something and it doesn't sit well with you. I'm a human being.
No, I can hold it so tightly. You have
Really?
No idea. Yeah, I've
Really?
never shit my pants.
That's impressive. I don't know. I shouldn't tell that story.
Go on, you started.
No, damn it. Oh my God, in kindergarten once I pooped my pants. It was really
That's fair. You're in kindergarten.
It doesn't matter.
I peed myself once in kindergarten.
Really?
It's the only time I've peed my pants. And it was because in my school, we had these toilets downstairs by the playground where we had recess. And they were so scary. Mm-hmm. They were dark and like there was always water dripping. And I wouldn't go. And so I tried to make it to the toilet on the other side of school. And I didn't make it in time.
Everyone has these stories, you know? It's a formative experience.
Shitting your pants? Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, they had to give me clothing.
Oh,
I know. I had like school overall.
I had to change into my my gym gear
embarrassing.
for school. I remember it. And then at lunch, one of the teachers was like, "Why are you in your gym gear?" And I was like, "I had an accident." And it was so embarrassing.
It's like, oh, you had the lateral... What is it?
The lateral flow.
You had the lateral flow, mate. Oh, shit. Okay, mate.
It was just a wee. I didn't poo myself. Don't worry.
So how you been? I haven't seen you in like 2 weeks.
I know. Happy Sabbath.
Why
are we?
Shalom?
No, Sabbath. That's Jewish Sabbath.
Yeah. Oh,
This is
that not today?
No, it's Sunday.
Right. So what
If
about
you're
Sabbath?
Jewish, you take Saturday off.
Okay, yeah.
But we're talking about Jesus.
Yeah,
Today's
Jesus.
Sunday, so we should be resting, but instead
Should
we're
be resting.
podcasting.
Jesus rests inside.
And sad?
Jesus rests inside.
Oh, inside.
That's right.
Okay.
Praise Jesus.
I thought you were saying he's sad. I'm like, probably. He did die.
Do you think Jesus was a depressive? I mean,
no.
Listen, he turned water into wine.
For fun.
For fun,
That was a
but-
party.
Nah, man, he'd be awesome at parties. You kidding me?
He would be. Free drinks.
If Jesus was alive today, what kind of stereotype New York style person do you think he'd be?
Well, he was quite assertive, so I think he would be I'm walking here. Like, he'd be that
think
kind
he'd
of,
be like
oh,
that?
yeah.
Or
But
he'd
in a
just
nice-
part everyone walking down New York? He'd just be like,
The crowds in Times Square would move.
that'd be pretty sweet, right?
Like Magneto, when he just...
Oh my God, he'd be the human Magneto of problems.
Mm-hmm.
He'd just be separating problems. You think he was assertive though?
He was very assertive.
Really?
Yeah.
What evidence do you have?
Well, you know biblical history.
A little bit.
Right? So he flipped over the tables in the temple when they were misbehaving.
Oh yeah, he did do that.
He was very, wasn't,
He didn't. Did he do that?
yeah,
That was Jesus?
that was Jesus.
Wait, so Jesus literally walked in and flipped the tables on him.
He went into the temple and out front of the temple, people were like trading and bartering and being disrespectful.
Right.
And he got mad and he knocked the tables over.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He was really assertive. He wasn't rude, but he definitely was assertive. He said what he thought. He was assertive in the sense that everyone was like, Jesus, sit down, be quiet. And he was like, no.
That's true. But that doesn't mean assertive to me though, right? That could just be
So what's
leader.
assertive to you then? That's what assertive means.
Is it?
Yes.
I feel like you can lead by not being assertive though.
Assertive doesn't mean rude. Assertive just means you're like sure of yourself and you're like put yourself forward and you're standing up.
Yeah. And you're intentionally creating your own space for people to like listen to you. That's
Sure.
like what I think of assertive as.
Yeah, he did
That's
that.
the
He was a
Alexander
leader.
Webster dictionary. of words.
I was looking up your zodiac, by the way, before we started.
This is gonna be good.
Alexander's birthday's coming up soon.
Yes, it is.
And you are a Sagittarius to the T. It said that they are free thinkers, which I think you are. It said that they are overly ambitious, which I think you are. I think it's a good thing, though.
I think so.
That they don't like the limitations of the world, so they really push it. Right? Doesn't this hit you?
Such a core belief.
They always have their mind on what more they can do and how to push forward. It's you.
Creepy.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
They have to. I'm just getting snotty. Sorry, I still have a bit of this.
It's disgusting.
It's so gross. They always
COVID.
push. No, it's not COVID.
It's definitely.
They always push through. They're really like super ambitious. Like nothing holds them back. When they put their mind to something, they will go above and beyond to make it happen. And I think that's you.
Wow, that's a really good zodiac.
Yeah.
What is it telling me about my love life?
Should I look it up? I just had it on my phone. It also had a list of your careers that you could do, and they were kind of cool. And then I looked at my zodiac. Do you want to hear what my careers are?
Yeah.
Mine said cult leader.
Get the fuck out.
And poltergeist.
What? You have to be dead to be a poltergeist.
Scorpio astrology. I'm a Scorpio.
How does that make sense?
Scorpio.
But why poltergeist? You have to be dead to be a poltergeist.
Don't ask me. Ask CoStar.
CoStar. Wait, CoStar?
CoStar astrology. So it said, ready? Best careers for me are...
Isn't that a real estate website?
No.
CoStar? Is it? No?
No.
Oh,
Oh, by the way, we have Marvin here.
Marvin. Everyone welcome Marvin, our new pod director. What's up, Marvin? Woohoo. Welcome to the team.
It says here for me, right? Because I just made it about me now. Best careers for me are a con artist, a puppet master, a brooding protagonist, a poltergeist, and a cult leader. I mean,
This is the most negative.
People hate Scorpios, but it does say I look really cool in a leather jacket, which is true.
That is true. That is true. You do.
All right, CoStar.
I feel like that's selling you short.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean,
Sagittarius.
how did it go from such an accurate Sagittarius assumption?
So it says you should be a foreign correspondent, a health fad guru, a karaoke MC,
Yes.
a club kid,
Ooh.
or an unauthorized anthropologist. Specifically unauthorized.
Right.
Exactly.
Listen, I know I'm not supposed to be here, but I have to tell you about who you are.
I'm an anthropologist.
Right, just flash a badge.
It says they move from job to job, philosophy to philosophy, and belief to belief. They are explorers of the human condition, and they feel like the world is their playground. They love to explore the unknown, and they want to understand how the world works. That's you.
That's so creepy.
You're the warrior poets. You have a relentless drive for freedom. You're optimists. You have optimism.
Not always.
And
Maybe
your ability to overcome unsurmountable challenges is a testament to your adaptable strength.
Wow.
It did say you can be too aspirational, though, so maybe just like calm your aspirations a little bit.
Stop making it so complicated, Alexander.
Stop believing it so much.
God, you believe in less.
Marvin, what's your star sign? Do you know?
Aquarius.
This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is a fun. Aquarius coast.
Yeah, especially because you have that dope music video at the end of Knocked Up, right?
Yeah, no, it's a 40-year-old virgin. Yes.
Everyone's dancing in the field. I literally watched that and I'm like, I want to be Aquarius. That looks like fun.
Okay, it says you actually believe in conspiracy theories. Do you believe
Is
in
that true?
conspiracy theories? No.
There's not one conspiracy
Interesting.
theory you don't believe in?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. But I don't count them out. I don't discount.
You don't discount conspiracy theories.
What's the most believable one, you think?
I don't even want to say it.
Oh, come on, say it.
9/11.
Oh, the 9/11 conspiracy theory. There's some
a
stuff
touchy
behind
one.
that. Yeah.
It's a touchy one.
Yeah. It says your dream jobs are a professional
Con artist.
dilettante? What is that?
Dilettante.
What's a dilettante?
Oh my God.
What's a dilettante?
It's a lazy person who does nothing.
That's
a dilettante.
horrible. I'm so sorry.
A lot of money typically.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, nice save.
Wait, this is amazing. It says you're a bohemian, and then it says a casual anthropologist. So you're, so you're an unauthorized anthropologist, and you're a casual anthropologist.
What?
It says you're a rioter and a looter.
What? Have you ever looted?
Have you ever rioted?
Just protest.
Just
Yeah,
protest
okay,
there.
that counts.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
You're a
Okay,
computer.
there we go. And an armchair philosopher.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I love it.
Finally. Finally, they got to the crux of the matter. What's a casual anthropologist?
What's an unauthorized anthropologist? That's the bigger question.
I don't know. I just know.
I was poltergeisting her. So I didn't make it up. It's what CoStar said, and apparently they're right.
Well, CoStar, congratulations. You got a really great advertisement.
So I had a CoStar app about, I kid you not, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you put in your birth date and it gives you everything, your star sign, when you're like, the whole kit and caboodle.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, you will be bored for the next 2 years on my breakdown. And I deleted it because I was so mad. I was like, that's rubbish. And then COVID hit and I was bored for the next 2 years. I sat in my apartment and did nothing.
Why didn't it say like more? You're going to be bored for 2 years?
Because the planets can only give us so much, Alexander. They can't tell us everything.
That'd be boring if they did, right? It would kind of like ruin the whole fun in the simulation we're in.
I always wonder that if you went to a psychic and they just told you too much, or you went to a psychic and they were just like, ah! And you're like, okay, so my life is going to be really bad.
Can you imagine? You walk into the room, she's like, oh my God, leave, sir, leave.
Wait, we went to a psychic together. Do you remember this?
We did?
Didn't we?
Did we?
I think, was it with you? We went to Westville for dinner and then we went to a psychic.
Yeah, we
afterwards.
sat down. She had a storefront.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember this? And she told me I was a writer in my past life.
Yes. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do.
This was about 3 years ago. I just remember this. I completely forgot. We went. It was in West Village.
Yeah.
I think I paid $10, and she told me that I was a writer in my past life. And then I think she said the next few years were going to be really good for me, and they weren't. So I don't know how accurate
We
she
should
was
go
about
back and
that.
ask for money. Hey, we were here 3 years ago.
I want my $10 back. I want my $10 back.
In singles.
Yes,
Just make it more
exactly.
difficult.
I mean, I didn't see her credentials. I don't think she had like a psychic license or
She
whatever.
didn't show you the psychic license?
No.
She was unauthorized.
Unauthorized psychic.
She was,
It was an unauthorized
right.
psychic.
She was a casual psychic.
She was a casual psychic.
I can tell you a crazy psychic story though.
Please do. I love psychic stories.
All right. So my mother went back to school like 10
be a
years ago or
psychic?
something. No, not to be a psychic. You're born that way. And she met this friend of hers, right, who claimed to be a psychic. And as they're going through their classes together, she starts giving all these crazy readings to my mom.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like,
Did your mom ask for them or did she just...
no.
I think that's rude. You don't give unannounced readings.
You know what? She's assertive.
Okay.
Definitely. She's like Puerto Rican lady, but
Yeah.
like legit psychic. And
Yeah.
so the way she explains it is that she has what she says spiritual guides. So it's not her. She's connected
I've
with
heard
the other
this.
side.
They
that
have
follows her.
like a guide that... Yes, I've heard people talk about this.
Psychic medium more than a psychic.
Right, a psychic
so
medium.
medium.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more
Yeah.
sense.
They connect to another level.
So she says this person follows her around all the time. She sees him every waking moment of the day. And they're friends.
Ooh.
Okay. And he gives her information on what's happening on the other side. And she just tells it. But her rule is that if it's important enough for it to come up, then she has to share it.
Right. If she's like, you're going to get hit by a bus later, she'll let you know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like that deep, but what I do know is that she now works for the FBI, solving crimes. Yes.
Wait, is this the lady you were talking about a couple of weeks ago who does crime solving?
Yeah. Oh, I did bring that up on the pod. Okay.
Yeah. But you didn't specify. We kind
Yeah,
of
I'm trying to like
glanced
keep
over it.
her privacy somewhat, but
That's wild. I've heard of this. People do
remote viewing.
I mean, I don't know how accurate it was. It was on the Discovery Channel, but it was people solving crimes.
No, that's real.
And they would look at a picture of a victim and say, oh, like I see her in a field, and the police would such a field. And
Yep.
ah,
It's called remote viewing.
that's wild.
And it's so real that the U.S. government dropped like $10 million.
It's also really concerning that the FBI are relying on psychics to solve crime.
The world is so big and so small at the same time. It's really like wild to think how serious they take that. Like psychics in warfare has been around for the longest time. I mean, even Hitler, he had these two twins that followed him around everywhere. It was
Not surprised. Ugh.
one of his like biggest influences, because he was like obsessed with all that shit, like the occult.
Yes, he really was, wasn't he?
So he had these two ladies from the Vril Society. That was their coven, very, very famous coven thing. And that's why he always went out of his way to collect like occultic items and shit. And they would give him advice. And they were twins. And apparently there's a psychic connection between twins.
I have heard that too.
And so
yeah.
he rounded up all the twins in Germany to study him.
Yeah, that was disgusting. He did horrible things with twins. It was horrific.
Fucking weird, right? And then, then the men who stare at goats, you know how the US government did that? They had like this giant psyops program in the 60s. Like that's, Charles Manson.
Yeah.
He was hired by the CIA. This is true. A book came out about this recently where Charles Manson was hired by the CIA to run psyops on his cult. So that's why he kept
psyops?
getting out psychic ops.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Like brainwashing techniques and stuff.
So
and that's why he would always get pulled out of jail. He would be caught for his crimes and he would go to jail and then someone would get him out. And that's why he kept getting away with everything.
Bananas.
Because he was working with the government on some level, which is crazy. And then there's something called Operation Midnight Climax. Yeah.
What's that?
The government would go to the brothels and then they would give the hookers drugs. And then the hookers would give the ladies of the night, sex workers, yes, would give the drugs to the tricks. And they would see how susceptible they were to misinformation.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then they would start basically finding out a way to thread the needle to pass on misinformation.
I mean,
and shape someone's
they've
mindset.
been using like sex work in warfare for years. That's always been a thing.
Because
when people get naked, they'll tell you a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And also because people look down on sex workers, that they won't think of them as a threat or something that could, gather intelligence.
I think sex work is a really important thing in society.
Interesting.
I do, because I think like a lot of this, active shooter masculinity, toxic masculinity stuff.
Oh, don't put that on that.
Well, no, really. Like I really do mean this. I think a lot of that stems from them not being able to have sex.
I think you're placing, that's a tricky line there, because then you place the blame. It comes down to placing the blame on women again. It always comes down to this in society. Like, because men can't have sex with women, therefore they're doing this.
That's interesting.
There
That's
are
definitely not what I
tons
mean.
of people out there who have never had sex in their life and don't shoot up buildings.
For sure, right. It's not the sole cause.
No.
Right. But one of Pavlov's needs. Well, is it Pavlov's?
No.
No, that's Pavlov's dog.
Pavlov had a dog.
Who's the hierarchy of needs? Can we look that up? I want to look up who the hierarchy of needs is. And you know that pyramid? Maslow, right? Isn't it Maslow?
You're throwing out names that I don't know. But
I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I could be wrong. But anyway, there's a pyramid.
Maslow? It was Maslow. Okay.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I think towards the bottom of the pyramid, more towards the base, is sex.
Well, it is a basic human need. But then again, there are asexual people. So in that sense, it doesn't apply to everyone.
True. Okay. Yeah. But, there is a lot of like frustration, societal frustration and biological frustration. And apparently a lot of these guys feel that. And
I think it's, we're getting into like incel territory, which is a super interesting thing to look into.
Isn't it?
It's,
man.
And I think it comes down to entitlement. That's the biggest thing with the incel community, is they believe that they are entitled to sex, and that because they haven't gotten it, that's where the frustration comes from. Where no one's entitled to it. You're never entitled to someone else's body.
Should everyone be entitled to the love of like a mother's bosom, like to be held and to be hugged and skin on skin contact? Because I see sex and that somewhat similar, not exactly the same, but the exchange of like that biological need.
I think everyone
is somewhat similar.
Is entitled to look for love and entitled to look for connection, but you are never entitled to someone else.
No, definitely. I agree. You're not entitled to someone else.
No.
I agree. And
there are other ways to have sexual gratification that don't involve another person.
But, this is an interesting conversation, right? Because at what point does society split that hair to where you feel you aren't lovable because of what society says is unlovable, right? And is that your fault that you're born different? Well,
a lot of these, actually, if you look at like the incel community, a lot of them aren't what you call the stereotypical like ugly, unlovable. Like they've put themselves in this category. A lot of them, if you look at them, if they just showered, had better views about women and treated them like humans, had a more open mind to learning, they'd actually probably be very popular and very well loved. But they have decided in their own mind that women are a subcategory of humans. You're not going to want to sleep with that.
Yeah.
They've put themselves in that category. They've decided for themselves, like, women are beneath me. Women are lower than me. I am, because I can't get who I want in society. They've put women in this like position of an object. And that instantly makes you unattractive.
I'm gonna throw in a wrench here.
Here.
You're not gonna like it.
I'm sure.
But I'm just gonna
Sure
play
I'm not.
devil's advocate.
Go for it.
What's the difference between that and radical feminism?
What?
Yeah.
I don't understand the connection there.
Like, you know how like some comments in feminism is saying that like we don't need men, they're just tools. You know, we only need one man.
That's actually not feminism, but
okay.
Go
That
off.
what would that be? Toxic feminism.
that's
not that women aren't equal because
you're thinking of
obviously there's
misandry, which is like the act of
is that what it's called?
misandry is the
Like the character from Game of Thrones?
that's misandry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're so smart. Misandry is like the active.
Sorry, I'm a casual anthropologist. Obviously.
Misandry is like the active hate of men.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right. If you actually look at the feminist agenda, it's very much.
It's not that.
It's not that at all.
Yeah, I
It's
want to be clear.
equality.
I don't believe
Yeah, no, I
feminism
know
is
that.
Okay.
It's equality between males and females. Misandry is like the hatred of men. And there are certain people out there who hate men.
There is
I'm
that.
Sure, yeah.
But, you know, you can't point
Doesn't
to
mean
a
they're
small
right.
group and say that that's all feminist.
It's not feminist.
It's not.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I don't believe that, of course. But there is that conversation, right? So my question is like this whole incel thing. A lot of people think it's a lot bigger than what it is. You know?
It's
Like
interesting.
toxic masculinity in this whole conversation.
think there's a lot
I
of
have a
toxic
problem with that.
Masculinity.
I have a problem with that.
And I think it's not, I don't think it's individual. I don't think I'm like, I can point to you and be like a toxic man.
Yeah.
I think it's things in society that have been around for a long time
What do
that
you
are very toxic.
yeah.
And when it says toxic masculinity, by the way, it doesn't mean like, oh, like men are bad. It's actually saying like these attitudes in society are toxic to everyone, including the men. Like, you know, for instance, the idea that a man has to be big and strong and buff, right? And that makes them a man. That is toxic, I can't speak, toxic masculinity, because it's detrimental to men too. It's telling a man they can only be a man if they fit this stereotype, and that, you know, that without that,
You're not a man.
they're not a man, which isn't true at all.
That's very true.
So it really
what
is,
you're saying is I agree with.
right. So it's true. If you're not big and strong, you're not a man.
You're a
no.
total pussy bitch. No.
So it's basically saying that, you know, these are toxic to everyone in society.
No, I agree with that. I think,
Or like, you know, men don't cry.
what is masculinity to you? Like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think it depends on the person.
Right. I think masculinity is
Some-
like strength, inner strength in your principles. Right?
Yeah,
And
but
like
I think
following
you can
a
have
code.
masculinity also changes throughout time. You know, we were talking about history before this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
It
can you
used to
imagine?
be, if you look at like Versailles and stuff, men wore high heels and makeup, and that was seen as hot men.
Yeah, they wore makeup because of syphilis.
Well, some of them did, but yes, yeah.
They were diseased.
And it became a trend. But like high heels were invented for men originally.
Yeah, that's true, which is wild.
Makeup was invented for men.
And then only 100 years before that, right? That's like what, 1600s? That's like Rococo area or something like that. So 100 years before then was what? That was probably like what, 1600s, early 1600s?
You think of the Rococo, that'd be like 1600s. So
Yeah, that's like 1615 or something like that.
1500s.
I could be wrong about that. So
Yeah.
before that is late 1500s. So that's like Renaissance, right? Everyone's
It's
in
a little late
Italian
Renaissance, but
clothing.
yes. Yeah, I'm just saying the idea of masculinity has changed. So I think masculinity is whatever makes you as an individual feel like a man, if you identify as a man. You
Yeah.
know, like things that I feel that make me feel like very womanly are not going to be the same things to other women.
Right. You know, it should be to whatever the person assumes is their masculinity. But I think that it's also rooted in a pride of oneself. Right? I think that's an important part, is where like you're proud of
Is that
what
a
you stand
masculine
for.
trait? Because I'm proud of what I stand for, but I don't think that's necessarily
No, I'm
masculine.
saying femininity and masculinity, I think, ultimately need to come down to a sense of worth in yourself
That's a nice way of
as
putting
like
it. Yeah.
number one. And then my particular view is taking action is a masculine thing.
What
Like,
makes you feel like a man?
what makes
personally?
me, yeah, no, really, it's a good question. What makes me feel like a man? When I feel down and sad,
Mm-hmm.
I do something about it.
Okay, there you go.
That
so
makes me
taking
feel
responsibility.
masculine. Yes.
There you go.
And I also feel masculine when I take care of others.
Nice. Okay.
And I also feel masculine when I'm building. Those are probably my core masculine traits.
Okay, so that's what makes you feel masculine. Another guy, it may be when he like trims his beard nicely and puts an aftershave and like a cool outfit, he's like, I feel like a man, I feel cool. Another person, it may be like when he has his James Bond watch on, you know. Another person, it may be when they build a fire with their hands. Like, it's going to depend on each person.
I agree, and that's why I think it's rooted in pride, or not pride, but self-worth in oneself.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah, we can agree on that.
Because how can you define anything nowadays?
You can't.
Like, literally every definition changes in 30 years. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, hearing how everyone's pushing back on like the NAACP's definition of like what you can say to people of color. They allow people of color, but you're not allowed to say colored people.
Right.
You know? But like on their website, that's what they say you're supposed to say. But in reality, like if you say colored, it sounds weird, right?
Yeah, it does. It sounds wrong.
Like I went into a party and it was full of colored people. It's like, you sound like a racist.
That sounds awful. Yeah.
So there's this like weird kind of like morph and definitions of anything, right?
Yes. Yeah,
you just
well,
kinda
that's
have to
why
go
we
with it.
have to just keep kind of always learning.
Always learning and keeping an open mind and being empathetic.
Open mind. And I think the most important thing in all of this is listening to other people. I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine actually about racism, and I don't want to get too much into it because that's a real heavy topic. But he's from Hong Kong, and so he was talking about the whole Asian hate thing happening. And it was just interesting. And I think we just kind of boiled it down to, as a white person, it's my job just to kind of shut up and listen when people talk about their experiences. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't understand what people have been through. So I just have to listen and understand. And when someone tells me they want to be addressed in a certain way, then in all ways, not just even race, gender, everything. When someone says this is how I want to be treated, then you go, you're right. This is not my job to say yes or no.
Yeah.
And I should respect that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you know, there's a lot that white people need to learn about race.
Yes.
Right? Like you know, I dated a person of color for 3 years. And I had lived together for 2 years of the 3. And you know, I had some kind of crazy racist experiences.
Really?
Yeah.
Sad.
Like in a restaurant, you know, like where I nearly fucking jumped over the bar.
Jeez.
You know, like we ordered like eggs and bacon. And this guy shows up with the slimiest, thinnest, most pathetic slice of bacon.
Right.
And it wasn't cooked. And it was just shit. And, you know, and so I'm like, hey man, please, can you bring this back and return it? And he's giving this whole like weird glare, you know, like weird energy, kind of like we're a problem, like asking us for our credit card ahead of time. And it just became into this whole thing. And, you know, I had words with him, you know, and it took me a while to recognize what was happening.
I was about to say, how does this come down to race? I'm confused.
Because it's never like obvious. Well, it's not that it's never obvious, but most of the time it's not obvious. Like most of the time it's like this undercurrent, this like subterfuge
yeah,
of the way they approach you, you know, to like, it's so strange, you know, it's like a paranoia too, right? It's like, really, is this happening? I mean, I don't know.
Well, you don't want to jump to conclusions, but when you're right, you're right. Do you know what I mean? When someone has like a racial motivation, or like not even that, what's the word? When they have like a preconceived notion about someone because of their race. And sometimes you don't pick it up because you don't want to be that person to be like, are they really behaving that way because of this?
Yeah.
But
it's so strange. You know, maybe it was because of one of my first actual times that has happened, that I've like witnessed that, that I didn't understand it so fully. But, you know, I could feel my partner shrinking.
I was gonna say, I'm sure your partner knew what was going on though, because
and
this
that's
wasn't
why
the first time
totally
that they'd experienced this.
And that was one of the first indications where I was like, oh, this is more than what I think, you know, because I could feel, and her energy is enormous.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's shrinking, I was like, oh my God, you know, and that just fucking threw me over the edge.
Yeah.
Like it's so weird. Like, I don't understand it. You know, my whole life, like even growing up in the South, you know, I saw it, but I always hang out with whatever, you know, some of my best friends,
right.
You know, like I've never understood it. And man, it's just like, it's one of those things where like you really think about it and it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't add up, you know, like none of it adds up. There's no real explanation to it. And there's so much effort putting in to perpetuate it. You know, it's uncomfortable. And maybe I'm not the guy to talk about it, you know, but like maybe I can talk about, well, you know what happened recently?
What?
I showed you those texts. Someone was racist towards me, you know?
Yeah, but that's an interesting conversation in itself, because then there's the whole discussion about, can you be racist towards someone who's white?
Yes.
Because racism, if you look at the definition of racism, is the systemic mistreatment of someone who's a minority. And as a white man, you're not a minority.
That's not the definition.
If you look at the definition of racism,
No,
it's the mistreatment. And
since when? I'm going to challenge that.
This is the definition of changed. There's a whole discussion going on right now of, can you be racist to someone
ridiculous.
who's white?
That's ridiculous.
Because
racism is your prejudice to someone by their race, period.
Because they have never faced
Doesn't matter.
systemic hatred or being mistreated or judged because of their race by society as a whole. And if you
that's
look
not
up,
true for all white people.
and I looked this up because I was curious about this myself, actually, because I was reading a whole article about, can you be racist towards people who are white? And they were talking about, and I looked at the definition of racism, and it talks about to a minority group.
See, I think that's a disingenuous definition, you know, because there are white people who are, you know, treated poorly because they're of their race. The difference is that we just have been dominating the conversation and the cause of racism for so long. It's kind of like, stop bitching, you know, like, oh, sorry, you caught some racism, white guy.
You've never in your life had a job taken away from you,
I'm not comparing the
no, I know. I'm just
racism.
saying people who are white have never had like jobs taken away, never had like housing limited.
No,
due to
they
their
haven't
race.
been redlined.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But
No, I
what I'm
know.
saying is, if we're already creating a special class of any race whatsoever, right? Any race, I don't stand behind that, right? Like, of course, someone can be racist to a white person. Of course, someone walks up to you, calls you fucking honky, spits at your feet and punches you in the face. What, because you're white, that's not racism?
Has that ever happened to you?
No, but it's happened to people. You know, like white people in like in hood areas. Are you kidding? Of course.
I don't know.
But the difference is that like white people are in the White House and have caused hundreds of years of, you know, racist policy. So it's kind of like, relax. What are you going to complain about it? You know, that's the truth.
You may be able to experience a racist action, like as in someone but you've never experienced, maybe this is the difference, right? And
I see what you mean.
You've never experienced racism.
Right. Like systemic, like
yes.
the whole world.
And I think that's the big difference.
Right. That makes sense.
If someone comes up to you and calls you a cracker, you're like,
right. That was racist, but also I get to go home to like my Brooks Brothers.
Right, exactly. But you've never had like a family history where you've been mistreated. Like, you know, it's a whole different
situation. Or you
situation.
can't look up your family history because we wipe the records.
Exactly. It's a whole different system. So I think that's the biggest.
Right.
So systemic racism is like the crux of it, like how unfair society is towards different races. But there's also within that, and I will say this, and I was reading another article about this too. I've been reading a lot about this lately. It's super interesting. That we forget, like, the world isn't just people who are black and people who are white. There are tons of other races out there that experience racism from different groups, from different cultures, in all forms. It's like a huge global issue.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, oh man, you know, this one thing I love about ancient history, right? You really see just how vast ethnic groups are in the world. You know, like little hundreds of miles away back in time, it would be a completely different ethnic group. Okay,
so I have a story about this. That's so funny. We forget how big the world is now. Well, how small the world is now, I should say, because of the internet and how we can travel. So
and jetpacks.
Jetpacks. We were going through some of my family history. I can't remember exactly the relative, but I had like a great cousin or uncle or someone who, the story always in the family was that he went like to the market one day. He got in his little horse and carriage and he rode off to the market and he never came home. Right. And they always assumed like something had happened. He died and this and that. He left his kids, his wife, like he went and he never made it home.
Whoa.
And it was this whole thing like, oh, he must have, you know,
got killed,
fallen off the horse. Something happened. Right.
Yeah.
Well, now we have like family records. We're going back. Turns out he moved to a town 5 miles away, 5 miles, remarried and had a whole new family.
Get out of here.
He packed up his bags, left, rode his horse 5 miles away, remarried, changed his name, and had a whole bunch of new kids. 5 miles.
What year was this?
Like 1800s, 1700s.
Can you imagine moving 5 miles and being in a different universe?
That's what I mean. The world was so much smaller then.
That's like people in New York complaining like, oh, you're from the Upper West Side. Like that's
Don't
too far.
diss the Upper West Side. It's the best neighborhood in the city.
You know, some
I'll
New
defend
Yorkers
it
say
till the
that.
day I
Sorry,
die.
I can't go to Brooklyn. It's too far.
As if you live on the G train. That's what they say. If you live on the G train, they're like,
Like, sorry, we can't date.
just, yeah.
Sorry, marriage is off.
But isn't that wild?
That is wild.
And like 200 years later, we're finding this out now.
Yeah, 200 years later, he'd be on like Facebook.
Yeah, now you couldn't do that because they'd be like tracking your iPhone. He'd be like, I see you. I see you in the Bronx. Come
Hi,
home.
my iPhone's beeping.
Yeah.
That's crazy. 5 miles. It's
A town
nothing.
5 miles away.
You can walk there in a day.
But that's the point. A day.
No,
And
you
you
can walk
just-
there in like 2 hours.
Yeah, but you just change your name and
You sure it's not 50? 5 seems really small.
No, it was it was really close.
You know?
It was really close.
Wow.
But like news didn't travel like that.
Yeah.
My great I can't remember. Some ancient grandma of mine lived in a dugout. Right.
Like in a baseball field?
No, as in like in the canyon. Like in a dugout, like a little hovel in the canyon.
Whoa.
And the way they would make sure they were safe is they had like friends that lived in a dugout across the way.
What?
And every day at 12 o'clock, they would wave their tea towels out the window, the hole that was the dugout. And if they saw the other person hadn't like waved their tea towel, they would send someone to check on them. Like that's how they communicate, to be like, we're safe. In our
What? Where was this?
somewhere in Texas.
They did this in Texas?
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Apparently they had, like my great, I can't remember exactly how many greats, but basically they had money, lost it all.
Oh.
They found some oil on the land, had some money, lost all of it, and then lived in a dugout
Oh my God, that's so sad.
because they had no money. And then like the Dust Bowl era and like, you know, everything died and
Yeah, we're so soft. We would never survive.
I couldn't. I mean, I don't even like, I get scared of like spiders and roaches and stuff like that. So
I cannot stand spiders.
I'm terrified of spiders.
But, you know, it's interesting you bring up this whole like
Stop
dugout.
tapping your foot, by the way.
Why is it making
You keep
noise?
thumping your leg.
No,
Yeah.
thank you. Have you ever heard of the wonder of Petra? You know, the great wonder
Yeah,
of
the one
Petra?
Petra. Yeah, you can go through it.
Yeah, it's like this whole underground city carved in a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like one of the most advanced irrigation systems known to mankind. So now it's a desert, but before it was all like hanging gardens. Like
I'm imagining, you know, in Mad Max,
Yeah,
when they have those gardens growing.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm imagining.
exactly
right now.
that. Yeah, that's exactly. So it kind of makes you think like how many people did that? Just digging.
Well, how much technology we've lost. That's what's interesting.
That's
Because
a
there are
huge
some
question.
ancient societies that were so much further ahead than what we assume. Like we just assume nowadays that people in the past were stupid, you know,
No, they
like because they didn't have electricity. Well, like,
Right.
but they were, yeah, they weren't.
You hear what they're doing in the rainforest now with LiDAR, laser infrared radar?
No.
So they have this new technology that shoots lasers, right? And then creates an infrared map. So you can see just by color what the topographic layout of a densely packed jungle forest floor would look like. You know, like the jungle floor itself through the trees. So they can map by taking a plane over the jungle and just mapping it out. And so they found this ancient city in the rainforest.
What?
That had the Pythagorean theorem implemented in its like environmental, like the way they shaped their city was utilizing the Pythagorean theorem before. Was it Colombia maybe? Oh, okay. I heard Brazil, but that makes sense. Colombia too. Some pre-colonial, whatever. Look, I'm butchering the technical. I'm sorry. But basically, they took the LiDAR and they found all these ancient cities that utilized mathematical concepts before we know that they were invented. And they collected the soil and they found that they created their own soil type by mixing this type of insect into it to make it some of the most fertile soil ever found in order to grow enough plants. So like their technology is like nature oriented, whereas ours is alien from that. And I always wonder who decided to change that, you know?
Well, I always think, so all these big societies that collapse, like the Roman Empire and stuff, and like the Greek Empire, like who was the last one?
With the last big one to collapse?
Well, no, like at the end of it.
The United States.
Like as a no, but I mean like as like the Roman Empire collapsed, like do you think that was just one person like holding on to the old Roman ways and everyone else is moving forward and they're just like really digging their nails in?
Yeah.
But like, let me keep my toga.
Yes.
Like who was that last person who gave up the toga?
Constantine, maybe?
No, but like the actual last person. Like
Yeah.
I'm not talking about like the emperor who like ended up, I'm talking like the one old man who like wouldn't give up.
Yeah, I think Constantine was the last guy to like really try to keep it old Rome. And then it just wasn't that anymore. I mean, they even moved away from Rome.
Wild.
And they took like that ancient city that became Constantinople, you know, which
is now Istanbul.
Which is now Istanbul. Yeah. But, you know, that was taken over by a bunch of different invasions and it was constantly fought over. It's kind of like a Jerusalem. But yeah, I mean, ancient Rome, I mean, that's a great example. That collapsed. The Ming dynasty collapsed. Right?
Yeah. So when are we going to collapse? It's bound to happen.
It's bound to happen. That's the thing. If you look at us on a scale of longevity, like we are not.
We're a very
really
new society. This is another thing about America that's super interesting.
We're worrisome.
We forget how new of a country we are.
Yeah, it's like
Right. So I come from England, which has been around
super old.
super old.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first came to America, people were like, here's a building that's 50 years old. I'm like, the house I grew up in was from the 1800s. Like, this is nothing.
This is weak.
Which isn't necessarily a good thing, by the way, because everything broke, like constantly. Like the ceilings leaked, the roof fell apart. Like there was, like, I think at one point we were redoing something and we realized the house had no foundations. Like
At all?
No, they didn't.
It's just on soil?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's really dangerous.
So basically, this is interesting. During the industrial boom, they needed to have affordable housing in London for people, the workers. So they built like this, tons and tons of houses in the UK, which is what most people live in the 1800s. And so they were built quickly and cheaply. So you're just constantly repairing stuff.
Wow.
So they look nice, but like when you actually get down to the bones of it, they weren't made to last. They were built quickly and to put people up so they could live there.
What's that saying? The most expensive thing is a cheap tool.
Yeah, the most expensive thing is a quickly built house because that stuff was breaking. My mum was like, I'm never living in an old house ever again. Like the boiler would break, the heat would go out, the roof would leak, the lights would go. Like it was just constantly.
Sometimes I like fantasize about the romance of just like regressing to basic life. You know,
I do that too, actually, being in New York, like homesteading, having an old home that I can.
I think I want to do that. You know, like when this podcast gets bigger and we can just kind of like pick up and go anywhere in the world and then just set up a pod.
You want a homestead?
I think I want to invest in homesteads. You know, like I think I would want like.
Did you hear that on the mic?
What did you?
My stomach just rumbled like crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's responding. The stomach's like, I want to go.
Yeah, because I want a homestead. I want a farm.
What we got going on in the news?
Let me bring it up. I have some, well, actually, no, some sad stuff, unfortunately.
Oh.
Have you been hearing about, this is really awful, actually, the Astroworld Festival?
Yes, I was just about to bring this. Travis Scott, right?
Yeah. It's really scary.
You heard about this? Oh,
yeah.
my God.
So basically, Astro Festival just happened.
Yeah.
And
let's fill people in and what happened.
Yeah. So the thing is, there's still details coming in. So it's really hard to know exactly what happened, but it looked like there was mass crowd crushing and 8 people have died and like something like 200 people are injured. Oh. Yeah, it's like my worst nightmare. And they're still trying to work out what happened, but there's different sources coming in. Some people are saying that people stormed the venue, so people were getting without tickets.
That's what I heard.
Too many people. 2, apparently they were way unprepared for injuries and medical staff.
They always are, by the way.
Always are. 3, the crowd control was just not there. Like really negligent. And it's all down to crowd control. Like I don't think you can blame the people going to the festival in these kind of things because it really is crowd control. There's been awful videos I saw today of some young girl, and she is young. She's like 21 or something. And my stomach's doing it again. I should have eaten. She climbed up to where the like videographer or the cinematographer is filming what's going on. And she's saying like, you have to stop the concert. People are dying. And he basically is like, get off the stage.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. He basically, he's like, get off. You shouldn't be here. Oh, and she's like, please, like, help us. Like, someone's dead. And he's like, get off the stage. I'm working. Like, that's the kind of attitude.
Oh my, if that's the case.
That's what was happening. It's awful. And then there was another video of, like a ambulance car or a police car trying to get through the crowds and people are jumping on it. Like, it's just awful. And
you know, this is something that we have to face. This is something that modern life does not take responsibility for. Social responsibility has been the bedrock of civilization from the dawn of fucking time.
They're saying like, how could this guy just like what, go home, like, or like get off the stage, like, and people were like trying to signal to the people on the concert who were running it, like, stop this concert, like this is something's going on, and they were basically like, shh, like stop it, go away.
Maybe it's because we raise a bunch of narcissists. Maybe it's because people don't realize what having like an inner church dealing with people should be like.
I just hope that guy who like told us to get off the stage really feels bad today and is like really thinking about his actions and what he's doing in life.
Maybe he isn't, because how many times has something like this happened to where you would think the reality check would be universal?
Thank God this hasn't happened a lot on concert. This is one of the worst examples of it. Not that it makes it any better, but this is just, it's horrific. If you look at the videos, I was getting like icky just watching them. It's really sad. Crowds are no joke. I hate crowds.
Yeah.
Today is the New York Marathon.
Oh.
And I was thinking about this walking over. I couldn't think of anything worse. I hate crowds, and it's because they are really, really dangerous when they're not managed well.
Yeah, especially now with like COVID.
Not even COVID. The physical dangers of so many people in a space not being controlled. When people die because of this kind of thing, people die because of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you
8 people did.
Never have to go to a concert and worry about your safety.
Yeah, definitely that's true.
And I really wonder, as more stuff comes out about this, like, 1, who's going to take responsibility?
Mm-hmm.
2, are we going to find out more things about this concert being negligent? About
of course you are.
Signs?
They're going to find reasons.
It's just,
that it's negligent.
I just can't imagine how scary it must have been to be there.
You know what's the gross part about this though? Is the way responsibility is taken now is they find one person to cancel.
Yep, and they'll do that.
And then they try to fight the corporate arm. Mm-hmm. When the reality may be, and I'm not saying this is true, I wasn't there, but maybe the reality is everyone in that concert was more concerned about their experience than those that were being injured in the process.
We'll see. This is the thing. I don't think you can blame the like 19, 20, 21-year-olds at the concert. I think you have to.
Of course you can.
Well,
you should. I think we should. The fact that we can't blame them, I think, is the exact problem.
Well, no, because I don't think it's their fault. I'm not saying we can't blame them. I'm saying you cannot blame concert goers. There's all these people online who are like, I feel so guilty. I was there. Like, no, you went to a music concert. The fact that they put too many people in the area, that was mismanaged, that they didn't stop the concert when they knew stuff was going on, that there was health and safety issues, like that's what's to blame. It's not some young kid who went to a concert to have fun and now feels like survivor's guilt.
Right, but I heard people were seeing people fall down, getting trampled on, and they still pushed to the front of the concert.
Yeah.
Those are the stories that I heard, that people were witnessing, and that it shook them because they realized that no one cared.
Well, there was the article I was reading, and some person fainted because of the crowd and was like crowd surfed to a safe area, revived. And I think they were either like EMT or they had some medical training, and they were doing CPR on people. And they said that the people that were at the concert had no medical training, like the medical staff didn't know what they were doing. They said they saw teenagers trying to do CPR on people to help out because they didn't know what to do. God. Like these poor kids were trying to help out as best they could because they were completely understaffed. They said they didn't have any of like the emergency medical bags they have. Those bags that you're supposed to have. They didn't have enough of those. So this poor person had fainted, been luckily crowd surfed to safety, revived, and now spent the rest of the evening trying to save people. Like, it's just a mess. The whole thing is just awful. It's really, really sad.
God, that's...
Yeah.
It just breaks your heart to hear that, because can you imagine having your kid just go off to a concert and not coming home because
that's what I mean.
They got crushed? Like, what?
It's horrible. It's really hard.
And how... Here's the thing. How did this not happen during the Rolling Stones? How did this not happen during a Led Zeppelin concert?
Probably because of crowd control and better staffing.
How did this not happen in Woodstock? Right? The most unmanaged concert of all time.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. Like, I don't want to blame anybody, right?
Well, we're going to find out more stuff as it comes out. Like, this just happened, and we're going to be finding out more information. But
here's my problem. We're finding out, quote unquote, more stuff about this Alec Baldwin thing. And half of it is bullshit. Half of it coming out as total bullshit, where they're just trying to point the blame at somebody so that everyone's avoiding liability, right? Like everyone jumped on Alec Baldwin being the cause, but you and I know from being on sets, and every actor alive knew that that was
can't blame him
horseshit.
for that. No,
Right?
Two
people cleared the gun.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Cold gun. I think that's the term, right? Cold gun.
With the Alec Baldwin thing, I feel everyone knows. We don't have to just
We should just explain it.
Well, basically, it was on the set of the movie Rust. He was on set. He was given a gun, a prop gun, and he was told cold gun. And cold gun means safe, no live ammo. Like no live ammo.
Right.
And he fired it, and horrifically, something came out. There was a projection, and it injured someone, and it killed the DP or the cinematographer.
It shot both.
Killed
the DP.
Ugh, which is just so. It's been a bad week for this kind of stuff. It's really sad. I mean,
I feel so bad for Alec Baldwin.
I do too. I can't imagine having to live with that the rest of your life.
The poor man, and I hear he's actually a really nice guy. Like he's assertive.
He's assertive.
Yeah, from what I heard, he's assertive. But I hear he's like really heartbroken and torn up.
I'm sure anyone would be with a decent heart.
But you can't avoid this shit. It's the messiness of people, and you get the beauty and the clash and all of that with humanity, but you also get this kind of shit. But this is why I really think ethics needs to be reintroduced.
We did ethics in school. I did ethics in high school.
Did you have an ethics in high school? Or was it more like this is philosophy and then
whatever? It was ethics in the sense they didn't tell us like this is how you be ethical. They taught us ethics as in like different, like we did utilitarianism. We did, but again, it was do we need to pause for tech stuff? We good? Oh, good. Okay. It was what's the word? What do you use in America? An elective? Like you chose to do it. It wasn't mandatory.
It needs to be mandatory. I think no.
It needs to be mandatory.
Must be mandatory. Shut you down.
Yeah.
No, it should. It really should, because we're okay. The whole point of religion was to do that, right? To instill, quote unquote, it wasn't a good job done, in my opinion. I almost became a pastor, but obviously...
We're going to go into that one day. We'll have a podcast where you talk about your past life as a pastor, because I'm so interested.
Yeah, but religion is supposed to do that, right? To instill core values in you in order for you to do the golden rule for your entire life, right? Like treat others the way you want to be treated, right? These are the things we learn in religion. But now that we've become so secular as a nation, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Like freedom of religion and all that, right? Totally agree with that. But having some sort of code is what's missing. Because what is the code now? Money over everything.
Just don't be a douchebag.
Money over everything. No, be a douchebag because it makes you millions of dollars on YouTube. In fact, I'm going to go be a douchebag and be a boxer. And I'm going to make 30 times more.
If you became a douchebag, I don't think I'd be your friend anymore.
No, you wouldn't. That's why we're friends.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm just saying humanity in general, they have this concept where they could be a total jerk to people and then exploit it for views. And, it works. It works, right? And we don't have these ethics, right? Like, what would happen if everyone in that concert band together and stopped the things from happening? How many people?
This is another thing we're talking about, crowd control, right? I'm sure there'd be one person out there who was like, stop, guys. But when you're in a crowd of thousands and thousands and thousands, what is a handful of voices? Crowd management's really hard. I mean, look at people again, we're going back to the Bible, right? This is a very biblical episode. When Jesus was being tried, they have a whole passage about how people went into the crowd and riled up the crowd and said, free Barabbas.
Yeah.
Barabbas was another person being tried at the same time. I think he was a murderer.
He was a murderer on trial.
And they went through and they were like, free Barabbas. And they got the crowd riled up to say free Barabbas so he could be freed.
Yeah.
And that's when Pontius Pilate went, all right, whatever the crowd wants. Like,
yeah.
The New York Marathon's today. Would you ever run a marathon?
Could I ever run a marathon, or would I ever?
Would you? And then we'll get to could later.
I think I would, and I think I could. Not right now. You got to train for that.
This is my thing, right? We talked about crowds. I hate crowds. I think if I was to ever run a marathon, I just want to do it by myself. Like, I'd want to start off on like a Monday in the morning, just like make my own little path and just try and run the 26 miles, whatever it is, on my own. I would hate to do it in a group like that. I saw them building the structures where they're going to start the marathon in the park. And I started sweating because I just imagined the amount of crowds that would be there and like having to be in a big group and you have to be there at a time and you have to line up. And then I'm like, I'd forget something and my socks would be uncomfy and I'd have to start and then I wouldn't sleep the night before. Like, it's just a whole thing to me.
Yeah. You know what the reality is, though, is that the New York Marathon is like nothing. It's like nothing compared to what some people do.
It's nothing.
Yes, it's nothing.
I could barely run
short.
on my street.
I know that's our problem, but not humans' problem. You ever heard of an ultra marathon?
No.
Guess how far they go.
How many?
Just guess how many.
Is it like twice a regular marathon?
Yeah, no.
3 times the marathon?
Yeah, no.
4 times the marathon?
Guess how far they go. One man, nonstop. One man and woman.
He doesn't stop?
He doesn't stop.
He doesn't rest?
Does
he sleep?
I don't think so. No, I think they run through the whole thing.
So it's like, what, 50 miles? 60 miles?
Try 250.
No, bullshit. How long would that take you?
Oh, yeah?
How long would that take you?
me?
How long does it take them?
And then try running that every single day for 60 days in a row. And then try calling yourself Eddie Izzard.
Oh, I know Eddie Izzard.
Eddie Izzard does that.
He did 40 marathons in a row.
40 marathons.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say he, she. They go by she now.
I think he goes by he.
No, she goes by she now.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm 90% sure.
Yeah. I think only when
Let's
I
just-
saw that interview, he was.
Yeah, can you look up actually their pronouns? Because I want to make sure we get the right ones.
Yeah. Eddie Izzard. Man, I would love to meet her. Eddie Izzard?
Amazing
So
comedian.
cool.
So talented.
Well, musician, isn't he?
So smart.
Well, I guess, what is he more famous for? Is music or his
Oh,
comedy?
no, it's comedy and... I got to get the right pronouns. They're comedy and they're acting.
Yeah. Okay.
Has she know?
Fascinating
See on their
human
Instagram.
Is
She,
it
her,
her?
great.
Okay.
Okay, so she is... Her acting is amazing. Her comedy is some of my favorite stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Dressed to Kill. Just absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they ran an insane number of marathons and they just kept going.
Yeah.
It was the wildest thing. Like 40 days in a row and she just ran and ran and ran.
Can you look up
Completely
the
insane.
longest ultra marathon? I think it's like 276 miles in the desert.
But then you take breaks. You can't run that much without, you have to sleep. That's hours and hours.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if they do.
I just,
100 miles.
That's it?
that's enough.
Okay, I thought it was longer. than that.
Alexander goes, that's it. Like, it's just,
Yeah, I thought it was way more than that.
that's it.
Over how many hours? Oh, wait, 3,100? Yeah. As in 3,000?
3,100?
3,000. I was like, that's it. What are you guys talking about? Yeah.
Alexander thought you said 100.
Yeah. Oh my-
3,100?
100 kilometers.
How?
5,000 kilometers.
Oh, in kilometers.
You'd have to get new shoes halfway through that.
Okay, how many miles is that?
That's 3,100.
Over how many days?
Months.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So they have to rest.
Your knees would get ruined.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The kid I babysit now, I think he's going to be Forrest Gump when he's older because I take him to the playground. He's 3 and he just runs.
Really?
Runs. And I'm not just saying that. He runs and he'll run back to me for a snack, not out of breath, nothing. And people will be like, look at that baby run. Because I just let him go in the park and he's like, zoom, just across. And people literally stop and stare as he's running. He's like, just like, it's
And I was running.
it's insane. He doesn't stop. He has so much energy. I don't know how he does it. One day we were in the playground and he goes, chase me. I went, okay. I chase him. And after a bit, I'm like, Charlie, I got to breathe for a second. This is insane. He was outrunning me. This kid is insane.
You need to get him in sports.
Oh, yeah. But yeah.
You need to.
I think he might have what my grandpa has, extra long lungs.
Wait, what? Hold on. Wait, sorry. Extra long
My grandpa
lungs.
has really long lungs. So he was an athlete when he was younger.
Huh.
And even now he's like 94 or something. And his lung capacity is incredible.
Whoa.
And the doctors are always amazed. And when they do the x-rays, they're like, yeah, he got real long lungs. So his lung capacity is insane.
Wow.
Yeah. But he's not my biological grandfather, so I didn't inherit any of that.
You didn't get the long lung?
I didn't get the long lung.
What did you get?
Probably the shitty lungs from my mum's side.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. I did get... Sometimes I get bitter because I inherited a lot of bad traits.
Yeah.
But then I also remember there are good ones that I'm not thankful for because I don't deal with them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like the other day, I just really realized like, oh, I've got good eyesight. I've never needed glasses. And I've a lot of friends that really struggle with that eyesight. And I was never appreciative of it because I just never had to think about it.
Right.
You know?
I have really bad eyesight.
Do you wear contacts?
I do every day of my life. Minus 425, minus 350. What's up?
No, I got
I know it's bad, right?
2015 vision.
You've 2015?
Yeah.
Is that good?
That's the best. It's like what most people can see at 15 feet. I can
So there
see
you
at
go.
20.
You dropped the ball in the lungs, but you got the eyes.
Yeah, but I think I have astigmatism too. So
I take that.
because when we're in, sometimes when we're
You're
driving,
doing so well, Meriel.
I know, but sometimes at light, like the lights are all over the place, and I don't think that's normal.
And I can't drive and I can't read.
But vision wise, distance wise, I'm like spot on.
Let me read this out to you.
Please do.
Yeah.
Self-Transcendence 3,100-mile race. Okay. Takes place in Queens, New York. Every year from June to August.
Oh my
the runners
gosh.
have 52 days to complete the distance, running from 6 a.m. to midnight, an average of 60 miles a day. The prize is typically a t-shirt, a DVD, or a small trophy.
You do all of that, and they give you not even a DVD, a t-shirt, and a small trophy.
I've never heard of this. This is why this city is so
Okay,
amazing.
couple things. One, who has that much time in their schedule to run that much?
Yeah.
I don't. I barely have weekends off right now. Like, who is that?
50 days.
That's insane. And secondly, why? Do a lot of people?
Why?
Yeah, why? Does it say that a lot of people do it? Like, does it say how many numbers, or is it just one person that's like, I'm getting my trophy, I'm getting my T-shirt?
How many people? I don't know. I'll find out for you, but
That's wild.
That's insane. That's absolute insanity.
Do you like running?
I do. Yeah. Actually, my grandfather was a really good one. Yeah.
Did he have long lungs?
I don't know if he
I
had
don't know why I
long
keep
lungs.
doing the gesture with it.
Yeah, right.
Does he have long
He had the
lungs?
long lungs.
Does he have the long lungs?
No, he was like really famous in Roanoke College, like Roanoke University. Is it
Was it-
University College? I
Wait,
don't
wasn't Roanoke the colony that disappeared?
know. Yeah. You know how they have a college there?
I didn't
college
know
town?
that.
Well, he was part of the Big Five, I think it was called, where like him and his friends, they all took first because they were so dominant. They would all just decide to tie,
Interesting.
and they would just win every single race. And apparently they have like their shoes goldened and they're like an athletic legend.
So I was actually, you just reminded me of that when you're talking about your friends running together, well, your grandfather's friends running together. I think the reason why I hate the idea of doing a marathon so much is when I was in school, and this is a very British thing. I don't know if they do this here in America. Once a year, we'd have to do cross country, where the whole school has to run a long race. Do you guys do that here?
No?
So they take the whole school out to, I don't want to say a field, but somewhere.
We do like a mile run.
It's more than a mile.
Wow.
And the whole school has to do it. And you can walk it, but everyone has to do it. And I would dread that day. And I would do anything I could to get out of it. Anything. Like I would hurt my ankle. I would be like, I'm sick. You know, I would do the whole thing. I would schedule music lessons on that day. I would do whatever I could. And then the times when I had to do it, I would just walk it. Because it
long
was
did
the
it take you?
principle. I actually don't know. I'm going to look up how long the average British school cross country is. Because I don't
British.
remember. It felt like forever. It can't have been that long.
You know, we take all these things for granted. Like, you remember when I went to Kenya? Remember how I told you that?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Kenya, it was incredible to see how far people would walk just for water. You know, just to get to a well to bring back to their village. They would walk like 10, 15 miles to get water and bring it back. Imagine carrying something for 15 miles. You ever like tried to carry your furniture to an apartment and you're like holding it for a long time? Or grocery bags from Trader Joe's, because that's an American problem, right? And you're like, my shoulders are sore. Imagine carrying water.
No.
Anyway, I'm
Sorry,
obviously
I'm sorry.
passionate about water.
No, I'm just trying to read this. Said,
It said the average British person.
let me see the cross country. I'm really going into details here. I think it can't have been that long. It must have been only like a couple of miles, but it felt a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And then there was always that pressure to like not to be by yourself. And then I think it was like 5K maybe, which isn't that long, but it felt long. And it was, I think it wasn't so much the distance. It was more the fact that I hated forced fun in school.
Yeah.
Like any group, and probably because I had no friends. So any of those things where you had to have a big like school involved activity, I dreaded I hated like the forced school trips. I hated the forced school running.
Oh, school trips. That's going to be a good topic on the next pod.
Yeah, we can bring that up. I had some great ones. I had some really good ones, but the ones that you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Because there was some you didn't want to do, you had to do.
Yeah, totally.
We had to do one when I was in elementary school called PGL, which stands for, it was the initials of the place where they sent us in Wales. They sent us to Wales. And we used to call it Parents Get Lost. That was what we called it. And it was supposed to be fun, and it was horrific. You would go to Wales, you would go to these little shitty cabins that no one wanted to be in. They would treat you like convicts the entire time you're there. They would yell at you constantly. And then we had to do things like climbing through mud.
Oh, I'd love this.
No, I hated it. And like jumping into cold rivers and all this horrific.
That's amazing.
Hated it.
That sounds like so much fun.
Hated it.
I wish we had more time to talk about that.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, we're at hour 10.
Oh, we are?
I know.
I chat too much. I'm sorry.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll see you next week. Ciao.
Bye.
Arrivederci.
I'm hungry. Can we get bagels?
We want to get bagels? We can get bagels.
All right.
Let's do it. Bye-bye.
Bye.